So I guess America loves deja vu, huh? Every few decades, we have a national argument that sounds suspiciously like the last one. This one we need to have, though. This one's got to be louder, maybe angrier, and this time we have social media. And President Trump just used it. Nothing he said directly, simply something he reposted. Literally a political hand grenade. For some, would turn into a political conversation. For others, extremely explosive. Because it's a piece of history that will turn back the clock 100 years. Oh, the Democrats wanted you to forget about this because 60 years ago they tried to bury it, never to be spoken of again. But you see, it's all about America being kept American. And there was a reason that President Trump reposted it. And I'll explain to you exactly what it was and what it could mean to the future of not only the great Republic of America, but we, the people, in just a few seconds. Very quickly, some housekeeping. The paperwork is out. The shooting of the two National Guard officers, and it is as brutal as you would have expected it. Complainants Beckstrom and Wolf, who are members of the Army National Guard, were deputized by acting U.S. States Marshal Ron Carter. They were on patrol near the intersection of 17th Street and I Street, northwest in Washington, D.C. On duty and in full uniform. 2 shots, point-blank range, one striking Sarah Beckstrom directly to the back of the head, the other striking Wolf in the head. Another National Guard member responds, taking down the assailant while he was reloading his gun. And no, I will not say the defendant's name. And him, the defendant, bending down over Beckstrom and Wolf after shooting him. It's official. The paperwork's been filed in the Superior Court of the District of Columbia. Just to tie that package up for the moment, there'll be much more to proceed on that. We're still getting stories, as I warned you would be coming up, that Trump's cabinet is fragmented. Trump officials prepare for potential cabinet shakeup after the 1-year mark. I told you on November 21st when that happened. Fast forward to December 6th, Trump weighs moving on from Noem, of course. Kristi Noem is under. Pete Hegseth is under extreme scrutiny, and this will continue on and on because they believe that coming into the new year, Trump will want a fresh start. President Trump doesn't like his cabinet. President Trump doesn't like this. This will continue on because it's what the mainstream media does when they have nothing and no knowledge of how to actually do journalism. And politicians don't know how to do their job anymore, do they? Or else everyone would understand that this story is actually a good thing. Over 20,000 pounds of cocaine seized by the U.S. Coast Guard. You've seen the footage. You've seen what they did. Operation Pacific Viper eliminates narco-terrorists in the Eastern Pacific. Should be a good thing, right? Single mission, 20,000 pounds of cocaine seized, more than 7.5 million potential lethal doses. I view it this way. Anyone who disagrees with this, if there was a boat with a bomb on it, headed directly to New York City, and the U.S. Coast Guard or any military member was to stop that boat before that bomb blew up in that city, everyone would claim a victory. But because it's illegal drugs heading to New York City and we stop it, people don't view that as a victory, although those drugs will kill people. What is the difference? Just put it that way to people. See how they respond to you. And then you can see if they actually have any understanding of what's happening or any reality. You'll generally tend to win the argument at that point in time. Kristi Noem said that 80% of illicit drug seizures occur at sea. A staggering statistic. Drug seizures hit a record in November. According to a December 4th statement from CBP, nationwide 54,947 pounds of drugs were seized last month, up 33% for October. They're doing a pretty damn good job, aren't they? Methamphetamine seizures totaled 21,937 pounds, up 118%. Authorities say 1,543 pounds of fentanyl, a 59% jump for October. Normally, people would view this as success. You know, you guys are doing a great freaking job. Nope, not all of them.
I mean, look, the President of the United States and his Secretary of Defense are conducting murder on the high seas. They're committing murder, and Americans should care. Like, look, none of us like drug traffickers, but we have laws that say that drug traffickers don't get summarily executed. And if it's happening off the coast of America with people that we don't know, just give it time before Donald Trump starts doing this same kind of thing to people we do know right here at home.
Seriously. Says Moulton just stated that President Trump, if they don't stop him, will start killing Americans. This is the lunacy of these people. Since when has it become bad to stop drug trafficking? There's really nothing else to say on this. They are giving the greatest example of why they have lost their ever-loving minds.
A lot of money has been transferred from the individuals who committed this fraud, including those who donated to the governor, donated to Representative Omar, and donated to A.G. Ellison. But they've been transferred to something called MBSs. And those are...
Mortgage-backed security? What do you mean?
Sorry?
Transferred to what?
These are money the Bureau services, and they are wire transfer organizations that are outside the regulated banking system.
Uh-oh. Looks like the U.S. government's tracking that money going out of Minnesota, wondering where it went. It's going to make a few people nervous, huh?
House Republicans and the Treasury Secretary just now talked about a link to terrorism, a possible link. He said they're just now beginning to look into it. How confident are you that that's a false claim?
I'm pretty confident at the moment because there are people who have been prosecuted and who have been sentenced. If there was a linkage in that the money that they had stolen going to terrorism, then that is a failure of the FBI and our court system in not figuring that out. And basically,
I'm not exactly sure what she finds so funny. Maybe that's just an uncomfortable line of questioning for her. I could understand that. Been a lot of rhetoric, a lot of heat. President Trump putting a lot of heat on a lot of communities. And then he posts something. Actually, he reposts something. He has Kristi Noem out there stating this.
Here, this is perhaps expanding to 32 countries. Can you confirm that? And could you tell us which are some of the countries they're adding to that list?
I won't be specific on the number, but it's over 30. And the president is continuing to evaluate countries. Listen, if they don't have a stable government there, if they don't have a country that can sustain itself and tell us who those individuals are and help us vet them, why should we allow people from that country to come here to the United States?
To the United States. It's been a big question. And there was actually 100 years ago an answer to this. A century ago, President Calvin Coolidge signed into law the Immigration Act of 1924. But you see, 60 years ago, everything changed. The Hart-Celler Act, officially the Immigration and Nationality Act of 1965, was signed. And this post calls for something different. And President Trump was the one who reposted it. And what it means for the future of this great republic is something we definitely need to discuss, because that is far larger than just massive. And I'll explain that in just a few seconds. Going any further, just a huge favor and a thank you. The testimonials on this company chapter, 805-619-5011, is a free phone call. What do these folks do? Well, they try to help you save money by making a free phone call. The average person who calls chapter saves $1,100 a year. What do? They're Medicare experts. You're talking to a live operator. By calling them, they check your plan. Guess what? If you have the best plan, they'll tell you that. If you don't, they're going to help you find a better plan. The average person, remember, who calls them in under 20 minutes, they go ahead, find all the plans available to you in your area. They determine if you have the best one. If you don't, they offer you a better one. They're not there to sell what's best for them like so many other people do. They're there to show you what's best for you. And that's the difference with Chapter. And that's why they've been so successful. That's why so many people call me and say, thank you, Justus, for giving us Chapter's number. Live operator, 805-619-5011. Speak with a live specialist. Free phone call. Average person calls $1,100 a year. You got the best plan. They tell you. You have a great day. You don't? They'll tell you. And guess what? You'll put more money in your pocket. And you'll have a great day. By making that phone call, I want you to call Chapter right now. Also want you to do me a huge favor before I give you a thank you. Actually, let me give you the thank you first. Yesterday, we crossed 300 members here on this channel. I can't even tell you unrestricted how many members we have. That is in the thousands on top of thousands have joined us there. So thank you all for your support. And by the way, everybody has different means, and I see it, and sometimes it actually breaks my heart. Folks, everybody has different means to support. By putting a comment, by sharing a video, by joining as a member here on the public platforms, by getting to restricted and joining as a member there, it means the world to us. We understand we have been on every side of the spectrum. When we built restricted, we didn't have a whole lot. That was everything we had to build that news channel. And we understand sometimes times are great, sometimes times are tight. What you do to support us, no matter what level, man, that truly keeps these lights and cameras on and means the world to us. And trust me, your thank yous, your shares, your comments, making sure your bell is checked all so this algorithm knows my news matters is helping the channel to grow. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate that. I'd love you to go to Restricted Republic. I love you joining as a member here. I love the super thanks. I love the comments. I appreciate all of it. And because of you, everything's growing. And that, man, warms my heart. So now let's get back to the story so I could do what I do best for you. And by the way, this is only part 1 of the podcast. Part 2, we're going to talk about something that, well, I'm more comfortable discussing over there. So join me as we kick over, because right now we're going to go on to a rather interesting topic of why Trump reposted this. No fancy graphics, nothing crazy, but we have to have a discussion of why Trump reposted this. And bear with me. This is the fun part. Some of you actually, a lot of you, have said you like how we're doing this. It's more educational presentation a lot of times on these second halves because you have to understand why he does what he does. Because America a lot of times loves deja vu. Every few decades, we start to have a national argument that sounds a lot like the last one, except there's new technology, and this time we have social media. So sometimes it comes out louder, angrier, but in all reality, it's just because we have new ways to discuss it. And in this case, it is social media, because Trump has Truth Social where he reposted this. And he did. It was a political hand grenade turned into a conversation by highlighting a piece of history that most politicians pretend never happened. The Immigration Act of 1924, because most politicians want to pretend it didn't exist. This was back when Calvin Coolidge signed a law stating America must be kept American. And at the time, actually, both political parties agreed. Imagine that, agreeing with one another for the betterment of the great Republic of the United States of America. It seems that concept has long since left us now. So Trump resurfaced something that used to make, bipartisan common sense. Well, that ship has left sailed a long time ago. That immigration policy is supposed to match the nation's capacity to absorb newcomers, maintain stability, and protect national security. Should be common sense. The 1924 Act did exactly that. It created quotas visas, the Border Patrol, and strict rules based on what the country could realistically handle. The result? A dramatically reduced inflow, which allowed the huge wave of the early 20th century immigrations to actually assimilate. By the 1940s and 1950s, you had the American boom, rising middle class, shared culture, economic explosion, and relatively modest immigration numbers. The policy stayed in place all the way until 1965. And that's where things took a U-turn, or a sharp turn, or went in the opposite direction, call it what you want. Enter the Hart-Celler Act 1965, a total overhaul of America's immigration system. It scrapped national origin quotas and opened the door for a new model built around extended family sponsorships, later known as chain migration. This level of migration, both legal and illegal, that America had never experienced before. Trump's argument, it's not subtle at all. He calls the Hart-Celler the spark that lit the modern immigration crisis, and he said it time and time again. Just listen to all his recent speeches. Not because of where people come from, as much as they want to claim that, because he's gone through multiple areas, but because the policy removed any focus on capacity, assimilation, and national cohesion. The exact things Coolidge insisted were essential for a stable society. Trump says America is now facing a binary choice. Either restore control over the system, or watch national stability break down the way it has in several European countries overwhelmed by unmanaged migration surges, hence the national security strategy I just reported to you on a few days ago, where he called out to European countries for the exact same thing. And he's consistent here. This is the contrast he's drawing. The 1924 was about limits and stability. The 1965 statute removed those limits, and America is still dealing with the consequences. To reinforce the shift, and I just played the clip, DHS's Kristi Noem, who the mainstream media wants you to believe is on the way out, just announced an expansion of Trump's travel security protocols. More than 30 nations are now on the list of countries whose travelers require heightened restrictions, not as punishment, but because those governments can't reliably verify identities, documents, or backgrounds. Her message was simple. If our government can't confirm who's entering our country, then we can't responsibly allow unrestricted entry. And the media and the left goes crazy. There's a larger reason for this. It will be part 2 of my podcast. A much larger reason for this. Why they go crazy. Why would anyone say that that's okay? Just think about that for a moment. But they do say that's okay. Bigger picture. Separate topic. This should be about vetting national security and preventing the U.S. from importing risks that foreign governments can't or won't screen themselves, but yet we're just to allow it. It ties directly into Trump's broader remigration and enforcement strategy. Prioritize safety, stability, and the well-being of U.S. communities. Nonetheless, his reposting of that statement blew up online. Supporters cheered as a return to common sense. Critics called it extreme. But here's the truth, or the core reality, let's put it that way. America today has a higher foreign-born population than at any point in the early 1900s, both in raw numbers and as a percentage. Whether someone sees that as a strength or a strain depends entirely on their politics. But it is undeniably the largest demographic shift in the nation's modern history. And under Trump's renewed enforcement, illegal crossings have dropped dramatically, proving that policy decisions do matter, especially when they're actually enforced. His supporters argue that decades of rapid, unmanaged immigration have overwhelmed local systems, strained budgets, increased security concerns, and eroded the shared culture glue that used to define this country and also resulted in massive waste, fraud, and abuse. We're seeing that now in multiple states. Look at what just happened in Minnesota. His critics say America has always been a nation of immigrants. Trump's answer, yes. But nations also need laws, limits, and the ability to choose who enters. So now the question's back on the table, based on that simple reposting there. Did America abandon a workable immigration model in 1965? And is it time once again for a bipartisan reboot like we had in 1924, 100 years ago? Trump clearly thinks so. And judging by the reaction online, America's divided again. Shocking. Because history has a funny habit of knocking on the door, especially when the door hasn't been guarded so well, and when the common understanding of Americans isn't there anymore, because our education system doesn't teach them about this. So I do. And I hope that makes sense. Why that simple reposting means a whole lot more than most Americans realize. But now you do, because you're here. And please, spread the word, because more people need to understand what those simple posts actually mean. And they probably really need to understand what this article means. Seems simple enough. It's not simple. It's extremely incendiary. And very few people probably have their arms around what that simple title means. And I'll explain it in full detail as we go on to part 2. I'd love you to join me at Restricted Republic if you're not there. Again, this isn't fancy graphics. No, this is just stone cold hard facts. If you're at Restricted Republic, remember, black and white version of the original tab. I'll see you there in just a few seconds. I love you all. Until next time, Godspeed and God bless. Justus Knight, signing out.